Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hey everybody, Kieran aka the Retro Lad here, and I've got another book review for you. And after a period of not really getting any at all, we're suddenly getting absolutely loads of bookazines from Future again. And in the past few weeks, I've reviewed the Ultimate Guide to the 80s, Ultimate Guide to the 90s. I also mentioned there was Ultimate Guide to the 70s, obviously all of which have quite a bit of gaming content in. And I then found out that they just released this one, the Ultimate Retro Hardware Guide. And thankfully, they had it in my local W.H. Smith's. So I picked it up the other day when I was in there. And this is another big one. So it's really thick. So I think it's a $12.99. Yeah, it's $12.99 job again. A bit like the... that was the other one, of course, the greatest games ever one that we did. They did that was $12.99. A lot of people moaned about the price. And then the other ultimate 70s, 80s, 90s, they were all back to $9.99. But this one's back up to $12.99. So it's quite a big old thing. Now, if you've been buying the Retro Gamer bookazines over the years, you will no doubt be very familiar with the hardware guides that they've done before that had the kind of Haynes manual style look to them. And they did two different versions. There was a brown one and a blue one, which each one had completely different machines in it. So basically you put the two together and you had pretty much everything. I think this one has pretty much gone for an all-in-one job. A lot of people thought it might be the same as the other ones, but it's actually quite different, and you'll see why when I go through it. I mean, you'll see straight away it says 25 plus retro machines. So extra points straight away for having the Atari Lynx on the cover. I was very pleased to see that indeed, as you can probably imagine. Now I've got to try and get this in shot and be able to turn the pages with you seeing it without knocking the camera over, because I have to sit really close to the camera to be able to do these ones, especially with my new camera. I seem to have to sit even closer to it. So there we go. So here's the contents. So you'll see basically, there you go, it's got well over 200 pages. So what they've tried to do here is pretty much everything. So they've put the greatest systems of all time article they did quite recently in it. They've got historical articles, hardware guides. You know, the hardware heaven things. If you buy Retro Game, you'll be familiar with these, where it's just like a double page spread on a system. And same the peripheral vision, where they do the same. They do a peripheral that goes with that. So basically, they've tried to cram as much content into this as they possibly could. So what you won't get is the really big in-depth articles that you got in the previous hardware guides. It's actually quite different. There is some of those in there, but really only for some of the most popular machines. So bizarrely, the ColecoVision is one of them. Not sure why, but so there's the greatest systems of all time article. I am actually going to skip this because if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you. So I'm just going to... and I've just revealed some of it. I want to skip over it, so I'm trying to find where it ends. About here. Yeah, so we've got history of Apple. For those who like Apple. Not me. Not my thing, really. I used to have an Apple Mac. Absolutely hated it. Well, it was my wife's and I made her sell it, and so we got a new PC. The 2600. Obviously, that's obvious that you're going to see that in there. Had a nice big article on that. There's the Intellivision, and a weird turn the page round jobby. Celebrating the ZX Spectrum. There's been a lot of ZX Spectrum articles over the years, you can probably imagine. The IntelliVoice, so we've had Intellivision and then the IntelliVoice a few pages later. The ColecoVision. And the Commodore 64. Kempston Competition Pro joystick. The NES. very big article on the NES. Please the Americans. Amstrad CPC. Sega Master System, and followed by the light phaser. They kind of put them together. I'm sure they didn't do some of the others, like the Intellivision ones, were a couple of pages apart. But in those two, they put together. So that's quite strange. And then, although we've actually already had an article on the Spectrum, we've got a double page on the Spectrum Plus 2 as well. That was the one I had. That's the black Plus 2, it looks like, which is actually, technically speaking, a Plus 2A, which is the one I had. The Amiga 500. Disappointingly, there was a big article on the Amiga 500, but the ST didn't get any such treatment. This is all the ST got, is a double page spread, which is a shame because I've done two really good articles on the ST for Retro Gamer, so it's a shame neither of them made the cut for this one. Another Master System thing. So Master System was strange because we've got the control stick as well, so we've kind of done loads of these 2-page ones for the Master System. This was a fairly recent article, this Mega Drive one, they've put in. So that will probably be quite fresh in people's memories. Game Boy. There for the Game Boy. The links, that's all the links got, sadly, despite it being on the cover. And the same screenshot you're showing every single time, same screenshot, same screenshot, same screenshot, same screenshot, which I thought was a bit on the lazy side to use the same screenshot on the links 4 times. Bit of a shame, but there we go. But it's a shame the links didn't get more. Especially as it got a very respectable placing in the greatest game systems. If you've read it, you'll know. If you haven't, then you might be surprised to see it there. I won't tell you what rank it is, but I have to mention that. SNES. There's quite a lot of SNES in this, as you'll find out. It's quite a lot. Game Gear. It's a shame because it does actually feel a little bit unbalanced in terms of giving up loads of space for certain systems. Like Spectrum gets a lot, SNES gets a lot, when you perhaps feel they could have, for example, put a big links article in, or a big ST article, especially since ST was, hugely popular machine back in the day. Neo Geo, compared it to the other machines. Whereas Neo Geo got a massive article on the Neo Geo, but the Neo Geo really, no one really owned one. It was just that kind of machine that you lusted after. More SNES with the Super Scope. The Jaguar only gets a 2-page spread, like the Lynx, sadly. There's no Atari 7800 at all, which is a bit disappointing, especially as my 7800 article that I did got the cover. So for it to be the cover article, it's a bit of a shame it didn't make the cut for this bookazine, really. Saturn only gets Super Game Boy, more SNES. There's a lot of SNES in here. Sega Saturn gets a 2-page spread. More stuff on the PlayStation. That's got quite a bit in here. It's a big article on the PlayStation. Nintendo 64 just gets a 2-pager, which might disappoint some people. G-Con, see more PlayStation again. Dreamcast just gets a 2-pager, which is a shame. I think probably again that's another machine that probably should have got more. PlayStation 2, I'm quite happy with that having 2 pages. I don't really think of the PlayStation 2 as retro still. I know a lot of people argue, but come at me. That's my own thoughts. Same with Xbox. I don't really consider the Xbox retro either. But that gets a big article, which is a shame. Over systems that could have got. And that's followed by the Steel Battalion controller. And that's it. So, and then it gives you kind of little look at what's in it on the back. So it's all right. There's a lot of recent articles in here though. If you read Retro Game, you'll have noticed that. So you're not going to find any new content in here. Most of the stuff that's reprinted in here is really recent, so it's probably going to be quite fresh in your brains. So whether it's worth $12.99, perhaps not. And it does feel a bit unbalanced, like I say. For example, a lot of Spectrum, a lot of SNES in there. So you do feel that they could have maybe balanced the magazine a bit better in terms of content. But if you didn't buy the one with the greatest systems ever, then you might want to pick this up. Or if you're not a regular, reader of Retro Gamer, you might want to pick this up. But why aren't you a regular reader of Retro Gamer? You should be. It's a wonderful magazine. But yeah, that's my review of the Ultimate Retro Hardware Guide. I think this is one that a lot of people will probably think twice about because of the recent content and the high price. But I'll leave you to make your own decision. And I'll see you all again for another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.